In this video, we will be discussing section 1.5, which begins on page 35 of your textbook, and we will be looking at several different types of angle relationships. The first angle relationship is complementary angles. Complementary angles have a sum that add to 90 degrees. So, for example, I have a 30-degree angle, and then I have a 60-degree angle. These two angles, we'll name it angle A and angle B. Angle A and B are complementary. Angle A is B's complement, and angle B is A's complement. The next up is supplementary. Supplementary angles add to 180 degrees. So, for example, I have a 120-degree angle C. Whoops. And then I have a 60-degree angle D. These two angles are supplements and they're supplementary. Adjacent angles are angles that share an endpoint and one side. In class, we decided to better this definition by also saying that their common side was between the angles, which is another way of saying they don't share interior points. They don't share interior points. Okay, so an example of that is they share a vertex and they share a common side. So angle 1 and angle 2 are adjacent angles. Next, we have a linear pair. Linear pairs are supplementary. They are also adjacent, and their opposite sides, their non-common side, forms opposite rays, which form a line. Here is an example of a linear pair. They share a vertex, they are adjacent and also share a side. They are supplementary, and their non-common sides form opposite rays or form a line. Vertical angles are formed if their sides form two pairs of opposite rays. Angles 1 and 3 are vertical angles, and angles 2 and 4 are vertical angles. From this, we also know that angle 2 is congruent to angle 4 and angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. It's helpful if we think about the example of scissors. With all of these definitions, let's go ahead and look at a couple of examples. In this example, we are told that the two angles form a linear pair. The measure of one angle is 5 times the measure of the other angle. So I want to find the measure of both of the angles. So I know since they form a linear pair, I know that they are supplementary. So I'm going to go ahead and add the two angles' values together, combine my like terms, solve for the value of x. Now that I have the value of x, I know that this angle is 120 degrees. Oh, that is incorrect. Always helpful to double check yourself. X equals 30 degrees. And 5x is 150 degrees. Double checking myself, 150 plus 30 equals 180. Let's look at another example. Again, we see that these two angles form a linear pair, which means that they are supplementary. So I can take their quantities, 16x minus 9 plus 6x plus 13, and add it together for a total of 180 degrees. Then I combine my like terms, 22x plus 4 equals 180, 22x equals 174, x equals 8. Alright, x equals 8. Now if we were to find both of the angles, we substitute in that value. and we get 128 minus 9, 48 plus 13. That gives me 61, and that gives me 119 for the two angles. So double checking, 119 plus 61 does in fact equal 180 degrees, so it does check out. And in our last example, we're going to go ahead and look at vertical angles. In this problem, we want to go ahead and find the value of each variable. Since I have vertical angles here and they both have x's, I want to go ahead and set those two values equal and then solve that equation. So I want to combine my like terms across that equal sign, so I subtract 5x and I get 3x, subtract 26 and I get 12, divide by 3 and x equals 4. So I then substitute that back in to one of them, I don't need to do both, and I get 20 plus 38 equals 58 degrees. So this angle is 58 degrees, which also makes this angle, its vertical angle, 58 degrees. And then if I were to solve for y, I know now that 2y plus 58, those two are linear pair, so those have to equal 180. So 2y equals 122. Y equals 61 degrees. So if I were seeking out what that angle is, it would be 2 times 61, which is 122 degrees. So I've got my x, I've got my y, and I've got the values of each of the angles. Please make sure for your homework to read all parts of the question and neatly show your work.